I stood on that stage, holding my champagne, looking straight at my wife as she smiled back at me, thinking I'd thank her for all her support. But I didn't say her name. I said my boss's. Then I said, "By the way, you left your underwear in his office." The room went silent, and that wasn't even the best part. My name's Josh. I'm 34. I work in data and analytics for a Fortune 500 company in Chicago. Or at least I used to. Back then, I thought I had it figured out. Married the love of my life, Emily. She was 32, smart, organized, wildly charming. She worked in HR at the same company, 2 floors above me. We met at the Christmas party 8 years ago. That same night, I told my buddy I was going to marry her. He laughed. I didn't. We weren't flashy, but we were solid. Emily made calendars for everything, labeled the pantry, had spreadsheets for vacations. She wasn't warm in the traditional sense, but she was dependable, or so I thought. Honestly, we were both married to our careers. I'd been gunning for a promotion for the past 3 years, senior data lead. It came with a corner office, stock options, and a title that actually meant something. She knew how much it meant to me, said she was proud of how hard I worked, always packed my lunch, always kissed me goodbye. But about 2 months before everything blew up, something changed. Subtle at first. She stopped asking how my day was, started working late more often, coming home with excuses like, "Jessica's having a breakdown," or, "Payroll's a nightmare right now." Okay, reasonable enough. But then, I started waking up alone. We used to always say goodnight, even if it was late. She stopped coming to bed. Said she was binging some HR compliance videos for certification. I didn't think HR videos came with perfume and lip gloss, but hey, what do I know? I told myself not to be paranoid. But man, gut feelings don't whisper. They scream. I ignored them. Until I couldn't anymore. One Thursday afternoon, I had a client meeting downtown. It got cancelled last minute. I figured I'd surprise her. Pick up Thai food. Get home early. Be cute for once. Her car was in the driveway when I pulled in. Lights on. Music playing faintly through the window. I walked in, quietly. She was on the couch, wearing one of my hoodies, hair tied up, no pants, laughing. At first I smiled, until I saw her phone propped up against the candle. Video call. I stopped mid-step when I heard a voice say, "Damn, ma'am, you're making it hard to focus." And then I heard it again. My boss's voice. My literal boss. She giggled and said, "Then stop calling me on work hours, you animal." I stood there, frozen, like my brain refused to process what my ears already knew. I backed out, silently, shut the door like I'd never opened it, went back to the car, parked a few streets down, just sat there. Thai food still warm in the passenger seat, untouched. I didn't go back that night, didn't answer her texts, didn't even cry. I just stared at the dashboard. Hours passed, sun went down. I didn't move. Next morning, she acted normal. Kissed me like she always did. Told me she had an all-hands meeting. I stared at her like a stranger, but I said nothing. Because I already had a plan. I didn't eat the Thai food. I left it in the passenger seat until it went cold. Just sat there that night, staring at my hands on the steering wheel like they belonged to someone else. My wife was sleeping with my boss. That's not something you say out loud. It doesn't fit in your mouth. It doesn't even sound real in your own head. And yet there it was. His voice. Her laugh. No pants. On camera. In our house. When I finally came back home, around 2 a.m., she was already asleep, curled up on her side like nothing happened. Like she hadn't just demolished my reality with a candlelit Zoom call and a giggle. I stood in the doorway for a long time. I didn't feel rage. I felt hollow. Like my soul had clocked out and left my body to deal with the paperwork. I crawled into bed next to her and stared at the ceiling for the next 5 hours. When she stirred and rolled toward me the next morning, I shut my eyes and pretended to sleep. That became our new routine. She kept acting normal. Sweet even. Asked if I wanted pancakes. Rubbed my back while I shaved. Talked about weekend plans like we were still a team. I didn't say a word. I couldn't. Not yet. Because I wanted proof. I wanted to know. So I started watching, quietly. I was careful. I never touched her phone while she was awake. But she had this habit. She'd fall asleep watching old crime documentaries, and her phone would always end up on the nightstand, unlocked. She trusted me. That was her first mistake. 2 nights after the Zoom call, I opened her phone and found a folder named HR Files, hidden inside notes. Inside that folder? Photos. Some blurred, some obvious. One of her in my boss's chair, legs crossed. Another of her in his car, tongue out. Captions like, lunch break treat, and, tell me again how good your presentation was. There were voice notes, too. I can't believe we almost got caught. I swear, Josh is so clueless it's actually funny. I told him I was on a Zoom with payroll. He brought me pad thai afterward. I felt bad for like 2 seconds. That one broke me a little. She knew. She knew I brought the food. Knew I came home. Knew I saw something. And she laughed about it later. I put the phone down. I didn't cry. I just stared at her sleeping face and wondered how I ever thought I knew her. For 2 weeks I played dumb. Every morning, I kissed her like normal. Every evening, we watched TV like normal. Every night, I waited for her to fall asleep so I could dig deeper. It wasn't just one-time cheating. It wasn't just my boss. It was a pattern. Buried in deleted messages, old email drafts, and ghosted calendar invites, I pieced together a timeline that stretched back almost a year. She'd been meeting him at hotels, for conferences. She'd work late, the same nights he posted photos from steak dinners. And worse, she used me. Talked about how I was the perfect cover, the loyal guy, the dumbass. But here's the thing, I'm not stupid. I'm calculating. I work in data. Patterns are what I do. I don't just react, I strategize. So I came up with a plan. Step 1, document everything. I copied the photos, the audio files, the text chains, uploaded them to a hidden drive, printed a hard backup, stored it in my desk at work. Step 2, say nothing. Act normal. I let her feel safe. Let him feel safe. I even smiled at the bastard in meetings, nodded at his leadership tips, laughed at his jokes like they didn't make my skin crawl. Step 3, wait for the perfect moment. It came quicker than I expected. 2 weeks into my silent war, my boss called me into his office. I thought maybe I'd slipped. Maybe he knew. But no. He smiled and said, "We're seriously considering you for the senior lead position." I nodded. He kept going. "You've been killing it lately. Reliable. Level-headed. People like you." I almost laughed. Then he leaned back, stared straight at me, and said something I'll never forget. "Not everyone has what it takes to lead. But you're the kind of guy we can count on. A real team player." I wanted to rip the office apart. But instead I smiled and said, "I appreciate that, sir." Sir. The man was screwing my wife, and I still called him sir. I left his office and drove straight to the one person I knew would tell me the truth, his assistant, Mia. She and I had always been cool. She hated HR politics, hated Emily, and hated how my boss talked down to her. I told her I needed to know everything. At first she froze. Denied it. Said she didn't want to get involved. But I told her gently, "I already know. I'm not asking you to betray anyone. I'm asking you to help me stop getting betrayed." She looked at me like she wanted to cry. And then she told me everything. The affair. The office hookups. The rumors. How Emily bragged about taking one for the team to boost my promotion chances. How my boss joked that keeping the husband happy was part of the strategy. That's when it clicked. This wasn't just cheating. It was manipulation. They thought I was weak. They thought I'd never find out. They thought I'd smile, shake his hand, and take the promotion like a good little soldier while my wife played executive concubine. So I nodded, thanked Mia. Then I made one last change to my plan. The office holiday party was 2 weeks away. I circled the date in red, and underneath I wrote just 2 words. Game. Over. They thought I didn't know. That's what burned the most. They were so comfortable, so smug, thinking they'd pulled one over on me. Emily didn't just lie. She weaponized my silence. Every day I didn't explode was proof to her that she'd won. And I let her think that. Because the deeper her confidence grew, the sweeter it would taste when I pulled the floor out from under her. The night after Mia told me everything, I got home late. Emily was on the couch, scrolling through her phone with a glass of wine like nothing in the world could touch her. She looked up, gave me that soft smile I used to fall for. "You okay?" she asked. "You've been kinda distant lately." I almost laughed. Instead, I sat beside her and said, "Just stressed. Lot going on at work." She leaned her head on my shoulder like she hadn't turned my life into a joke. "You'll get that promotion, babe. she said. I know you will. You deserve it. I wanted to scream, but instead I whispered, thanks, and she kissed my cheek. It was like watching a stranger play dress up with my wife's face. That weekend, I booked a consultation with a divorce attorney. Didn't tell anyone. Paid in cash. I brought the files, the evidence, the dates, the backup copies. The lawyer didn't even blink. Brutal, she said, flipping through the photos. But clean. You've got her pinned. We'll keep it quiet until you're ready, I said. I'll be ready in 2 weeks. I just need one thing first. She asked what? I said. A room full of people. Emily kept playing the doting wife. Made plans for Christmas. Ordered matching pajamas. Posted a photo of us on Instagram with the caption, my rock, my calm in the chaos. The comments rolled in. Couple goals. Power duo. You two are perfect. I just stared at the screen, wondering how many of our friends would still say that if they heard what she sounded like moaning my boss's name. The closer we got to the party, the more paranoid she got. One night she stopped me in the hallway and said, Hey, are we okay? I tilted my head. Why wouldn't we be? She hesitated. I don't know. You've just been quiet, I said. You've been busy. I figured I'd stay out of your way. She laughed nervously. God, don't say it like that. You sound like we're roommates or something. I shrugged. Aren't we? Her face changed, just for a second. And that second told me everything. She knew I knew something. Maybe not the full extent, but the crack was there now. And behind her eyes, I could see it starting to widen. That's when she got sloppy. She started leaving for meetings that weren't on her work calendar. Took extra showers. Put a lock on her phone. Started making more effort in bed. Like that would throw me off the scent. Too late. I'd already mapped out the final scene. The night before the party, I stayed late at work. Not because I had to. Because I wanted to look at him one last time. My boss. Nate. Tall. Charismatic. Always wore those smug navy suits that made him look more important than he really was. He had a voice like a podcast host, fake calm with ego under every syllable. I stood in his doorway and said, Thanks again for the opportunity. He smiled. That same grin I'd seen in the photos, inches from my wife's face. You earned it, Josh. You've got leadership in your DNA. I'm just helping you step into it, I said. That means a lot. Tomorrow's going to be big. He grinned wider. We'll celebrate properly. Bring Emily. She deserves to see you shine. I nodded slowly. She'll be there, I said. Front row. The next day was electric. They rented out the top floor of a downtown event space. Giant windows, champagne tower, catered sushi, a DJ spinning throwback hits like it was prom night for 30-somethings. I showed up in a black tailored suit, clean-shaven, calm. Emily wore a crimson dress I'd never seen before. She looked incredible. If I hadn't known what she was, I might have fallen in love with her all over again. She slid up next to me and whispered, Tonight's your night. I'm proud of you. I turned to her, smiled, and said, I know. She didn't catch the venom under it. Neither did Nate, when he wrapped an arm around my shoulder and clinked glasses with me. To the future, he said. I raised mine. Cheers. Because tomorrow wasn't promised. But payback? That was scheduled. The room was packed. Champagne popped. Glasses clinked. 100 people buzzing with fake excitement and half-baked compliments. I stood there in a black suit, face carved from stone, hands steady. Tonight was supposed to be about celebrating leadership. What they didn't know was that they were about to watch a lesson in it. Nate was in rare form, glowing, smirking, the king of the castle. He slapped my back like we were brothers, toasted my loyalty, called me the future of the company. Emily was glowing too, wearing red, sipping wine, laughing too loud. She kept touching my arm, whispering about how proud she was, like she hadn't spent the last year crawling into bed with the same man clapping for me 10 feet away. It made me sick, but I kept smiling. Because when you're about to burn the house down, you don't start with smoke. You wait, you watch, and then you strike. Around 8:30, the VP tapped his glass. Time for speeches. Nate was first. He took the mic like he owned oxygen. Talked about excellence, trust, vision. I watched Emily from the corner of my eye. She beamed at him. Her eyes kept flicking back to me like she wanted me to notice him, to admire him. Like she thought I didn't already have enough evidence to end them both. When he finally shut up, they handed the mic to me. I stepped up to the front of the room, cleared my throat, and looked directly at Emily. Thanks, everyone, I said. This promotion means a lot. It's taken years of work, late nights, missed birthdays, sacrifices. But I wouldn't be here without support. People clapped. Emily's smile widened. I want to thank a few people personally, I said. I turned to Nate. First, my boss. Nate. He raised his glass. Thanks for all your hands-on leadership. He chuckled. Some people laughed politely. And second, my wife, Emily. She touched her chest like she was about to cry. Smiled like she'd won a prize. I held up my champagne glass, looked around the room. And lastly, I want to thank both of them for reminding me that sometimes the people closest to you will lie to your face. And sometimes the best thing you can do with betrayal is document it. The room shifted. You could feel it, like someone sucked the air out of the building. Emily froze. Nate's smile cracked. I kept going. Some of you may not know this, but my wife and my boss have been having an affair for the better part of a year. I found out a month ago. I've got the receipts, photos, audio, you name it. No one moved. Not one glass clinked. Emily's wine glass slipped from her fingers and hit the floor, shattered. I stayed silent because I wanted this moment. I wanted to stand here, in front of both of you, and say congratulations. You're perfect for each other. People gasped. Someone said, no way. A couple phones came out. But I didn't just come here to give a speech, I said. I came here to deliver something. I turned to the door and nodded. A courier walked in, right on cue. I pointed to Emily. Those are for you. She blinked, confused, then opened the envelope. Divorce papers. Served. In front of everyone. Gasps. Laughter. One guy actually whooped. Emily's face crumpled like wet paper. Josh, please, can we talk? This isn't. I cut her off. No. You had a year to talk. You spent it lying. She reached for my arm. I stepped back. Nate tried to step forward. I stared him down and said, you're next. He stammered. This is a misunderstanding. I raised my phone. Played an audio clip loud enough for everyone to hear. Nate's voice. He's too soft to ever find out. She keeps him busy. Honestly, we're doing him a favor. Letting him climb the ladder while she takes care of the real work. The room exploded. Someone shouted, oh my God! Another said, what a snake. Emily looked like she might collapse. Nate stormed out. 2 board members followed him. I turned back to the crowd, still calm. Anyway, I said, thanks again for the promotion. Dropped the mic, literally, and walked out. Didn't look back. Didn't need to. The damage was done. The next morning, my inbox was on fire. 57 unread emails. HR, legal, PR, coworkers, friends, Nate, and Emily. God, Emily. She called 6 times. Left voicemails that swung from weeping to screaming to whispering please. I didn't listen to a single one. Instead, I sat in my new apartment, half furnished, still smelling like paint and dust, and made myself a black coffee. Strong, bitter, fitting. 2 days after the party, I officially resigned. No warning, no explanation. Just a clean, surgical email. Effective immediately. No transition needed. Thank you for the opportunity. I knew it would spread like wildfire. And it did. Mia texted me a photo later that week, Nate being escorted out by security. His tie was crooked, his face red. HR had gotten involved after my mic drop and his board level discretion wasn't enough to cover the fallout. Emily? She didn't even make it through the week. She was put on administrative leave while they conducted a formal ethics review. Translation, she was a liability, and now radioactive. I watched the company crumble around them, from a distance. Didn't even smile. Because honestly, I wasn't feeling triumphant. I felt empty. I'd won. But what do you do with victory when everything it protected was a lie? 3 nights after the party, someone knocked on my apartment door. I looked through the peephole. Emily. No makeup. Puffy eyes. Hoodie. The kind of hoodie you only wear when you're emotionally wrecked and trying to look small. I opened it 2 inches. She whispered, Josh, please, just talk to me. I didn't say anything. She reached out like she was going to touch the door. I messed up. I know I messed up. But I didn't think you'd actually, I said. You didn't think I'd what? Grow a spine? Catch on? Her lip trembled. I never meant to hurt you. That line? That line? I almost laughed in her face. I said, "You know what's wild? You didn't accidentally fall into his bed. You chose it. Over and over. And you still came home to me. Ate dinner. Asked about my day. Said you loved me." "I did love you," she whispered. "No," I said. "You loved the version of me that didn't know. The puppet." She tried again. "Can we please go somewhere, talk this through?" "I think we've done enough talking," I said. "And you did most of it, with your clothes off. That one hit." She looked like I'd slapped her. "Good." She wiped her face with her sleeve. "What am I supposed to do now?" I stared at her for a long second. Then I said, "Not my problem," and closed the door. I thought that would be the end. It wasn't. Over the next few weeks, she kept trying. Texts, emails. One long message that opened with, "I still believe we were good together," and ended with, "I was broken, and he made me feel seen." Like that was some kind of apology. She even tried contacting my mom. Told her she was trying to fix her mistake. My mom, God bless her, told her to go fix it somewhere else. It was like watching a fish flop around after the hook's been yanked out. Desperate. Pointless. And I wasn't biting. Meanwhile, I rebuilt. Quietly. Cleanly. I took the severance payout from the company and used it to start something new. A small data consulting gig with 3 former colleagues who couldn't stand Nate either. Remote. Flexible. Mine. I started working out again. Cooking. Sleeping. It was strange at first. Freedom. Real, soul-level freedom. I wasn't waking up wondering who was lying to me. I wasn't afraid of my phone lighting up. There was no game being played behind my back anymore. Just silence. Peaceful, lonely, earned silence. One night, I got a message from Mia. She said, "Hey, I know you probably don't want updates, but just FYI, Emily's fired. Official. And Nate's wife filed for divorce last week." I stared at the message for a while. Typed out, "Thanks." Deleted it. Typed, "Good." Deleted that too. In the end, I just locked my phone and went back to reading. Because their downfall? It wasn't mine. It was just the echo of choices they made, long before I ever caught them. I don't think about her much anymore. 6 months is enough time to repaint the walls in your head. Enough time for the silence to stop feeling empty and start feeling earned. I sleep better now. I cook. I run. I laugh. Real laughs. There's a woman I've been seeing. Nothing serious yet. Just drinks, walks, weird indie movies with subtitles. But she listens. She notices things. Like the way I flinch when someone asks, "So what happened with your ex?" I just tell her. She's part of the old life. And that's all she needs to hear. The consulting firm's doing well. 3 of us. Remote, no drama, no fake smiles. I work barefoot half the time. Sometimes we meet in coffee shops and talk like humans instead of corporate husks. I make less money, but I feel 10 years younger. Sometimes that's the trade. And Emily? She's around. I don't mean physically. I mean in the air. Mutual friends still mention her sometimes, like a ghost they think I might still believe in. They say she's staying with her sister. She's trying to get back on her feet. There were rumors she applied at another firm downtown. Didn't last a month. Apparently people talk, especially after a scandal. You sleep your way into power, the world doesn't forget. Not when it explodes mid-toast in a public room full of iPhones. I don't hate her anymore. I don't love her either. She's just background noise. And then the twist came. Because of course it did. One random Wednesday, I got a message request on Facebook from someone named Cara Taylor. Didn't recognize the name at first. Clicked the profile and froze. It was Emily's best friend. Or at least, she used to be. They'd gone to college together. Sorority sisters. Cara had been our maid of honor. We even double-dated once with her and her husband. She hadn't spoken to me since the divorce. The message just said, "Hey Josh. I think it's time you knew the whole truth." That phrase. God. You never want to read that. I waited a day to open it. Stupid, I know. But I had this dull ache in my gut. The kind that comes right before you realize everything was worse than you thought. When I finally opened it, it was a wall of text, and every word made my chest tighter. She started by saying she wasn't reaching out to defend Emily. Quite the opposite. She said she found out after the office affair came out, that it wasn't the first time. Apparently, a few years back, right before our 5th anniversary, Emily had hooked up with her husband. Not once, multiple times, at their place. On girls' nights. During a weekend when I was visiting my dad in Michigan. And here's the kicker? Kara found out years ago. And didn't tell me. Why? Because she didn't want to ruin the group, her exact words. She found out, screamed at Emily, cut her off quietly, told her to never speak to him again, told her to fix her marriage. And then? She pretended everything was normal. Let me walk her down the aisle as a bridesmaid. Let me thank her in my wedding speech. She knew, and she said nothing. I didn't respond to the message. What was I supposed to say? Thanks? Congrats on finally growing a conscience. Nah. Instead, I just sat there staring at the screen. And I felt nothing. Not anger. Not sadness. Just a sort of numb clarity. They were all playing dress up. Every one of them. Wearing friendship like a mask. Loyalty like a costume. Behind the scenes, just more rot. Emily. Kara. Even her husband, who probably smiled at me over burgers while I poured him beer in my backyard. I deleted the message. Blocked her. And for the first time in 6 months, I let myself really move on. Because here's the truth they'll never admit. Sometimes the people who clap the loudest at your wedding are just waiting to sleep with the bride. Closure doesn't always come with a bang. Sometimes it shows up in the form of a 3-sentence email. Last week, I opened my inbox and saw her name. Emily Harper. No subject line. No greeting. Just, I know you hate me. I don't expect anything. I just want to say I still think about us every day. I'm sorry. That's it. Nothing else. No excuses. No explanations. No manipulations this time. Just a ghost whispering through wires. I sat with that email for a full hour. Not reading it over and over. Just staring at the sender's name. It used to make my heart leap. Now? Nothing. And that nothing, that absence of heat, of ache, of longing, that was the most powerful feeling I'd had in a long time. Because I finally understood something. You don't have to burn bridges when you learn how to swim. I didn't reply. Didn't forward it to friends. Didn't screenshot it. Didn't scream or gloat. I just hit delete. And exhaled. Because the old me, the me that needed answers, needed justice, needed closure, he was gone. In his place was someone sharper, quieter, untouchable. I moved out of state last month. Fresh air. Mountains. No shared memories hiding in corners. My name's not on the lease with hers anymore. My closet doesn't smell like anyone's perfume but mine. My phone doesn't light up with "what time will you be home?" Texts that mean nothing. There's no drama now. No lies to untangle. Just space. Time. Peace. The woman I've been seeing, Jess, knows the outline of what happened. She never pushed. Never tried to play therapist. She just listened the one time I told her, then left it there. Where it belongs. Sometimes we sit on the porch and drink bourbon in silence. She always lets me pour the second glass first. Little things. Honest things. Real. Last week, I got a call from Mia, my old boss's assistant. She told me Nate tried to start some consulting work. Couldn't get clients. Word traveled. Apparently, his ex-wife took the house. Took everything. He's couch surfing with a cousin now. Driving Uber part-time. Emily? Still unemployed. Kara wants nothing to do with her. Her sister kicked her out. No real friends left. And you know what? I didn't feel joy. Didn't fist pump or toast to karma. I just said, huh. Because they were never the reward. Walking away was. Here's the thing they never tell you about betrayal. It doesn't end with a fight. It ends with a choice. You can chase revenge like a dog chasing headlights. Or you can disappear so completely from their lives that your absence becomes the punishment. I didn't need to scream. I didn't need to hit her back. I just needed to walk away, quietly. And never, ever look over my shoulder.